Cool. Cool. Time to get into some realness. So, this conversation's gonna go a little, I don't know. I felt like my last one was really weird, and part of it was because camping, and part of it was being sad and like not being as focused because of the surroundings I was in and not being able to like talk louder with confidence. Again, because the surroundings I was in. So, I feel better at being in a more private place where I can talk. However, what I'm talking about makes me feel weird, and some things that I've noticed or felt more aware of. So, as the title suggests, I'm talking about disassociating a bit, and I feel really awkward about it, which usually I don't feel awkward about talking about emotional stuff or mental stuff or whatever. But it feels weird right now. So I feel as though my mental health is declining. So that's a phrase that sucks to say. I want to be upfront about the fact that the things that I talk about and the things that I notice, if I had any medical diagnosis or support from someone, I would tell you, like, hey, my counselor told me this, like, but I don't. So I'm not wanting to get into the habit of like self-diagnosing things, but sometimes, like I've mentioned before, that things can help me, like labeling stuff can help me explore whatever that is, like the topic of anxiety. I feel like it was really obvious to a lot of people around me for a long time and not me. And then once someone suggested kind of applying that label, I was like, this makes sense. Like, anxiety's a thing for me. How have I... And then it was just easier for me to compartmentalize a lot of things that I was struggling with and put it under that umbrella and then work on them. So that's cool. I didn't really feel weird about that when it was a thing, because it was like, oh man, like I feel like I've had anxiety forever, and only now am I doing something about it because now I'm aware that it's a thing that I can do something about, I guess, and I didn't realize that. This is a little weirder for me, because I guess it feels like a new development. Thinking of your mental health declining is like a weird thing, and I don't want to get caught up in like I don't know what to call it. Like, I don't want to... It's not like a fun thing for me. Like, talking about stuff is really important for me. That external processing element, that way that I seem to be able to work through issues and whatever else, and like talk about things to a degree where I might learn more about myself and solve some things. That's really useful for me. However, I'm posting these things publicly too, so then it's like, how much do you hold back? How much do you not? Like, how much do you prepare for a conversation? And usually it's pretty minimal. But like, I don't know. As much as I like don't really want to care what people think, there are times where I do. I don't. It's just because I don't want people to get the wrong perception, whatever the or the perception that I'm wanting to give. Like, I don't want people to think something that isn't true, and people are going to think what they want to anyway. But like, talking about something like this, using that phrase that's still like, oh, I think my mental health is declining, like that is kind of concerning or worrisome, but that's not the function or purpose of me saying it. Like, it's not like, hey, just want to let people know so that everyone can check in on me. Like, no, I'm trying to be honest and I'm trying to be aware. I feel like a lot of times I am pretty self-aware. Obviously, some things escape me that I need to work on or do things differently or better or whatever, and I'm trying to do that. This helps me to focus in on certain areas and talk about them, and then sometimes they stick, and sometimes maybe they're things I should go back to and listen to and whatever. And I don't do that nearly often as I should, because I feel like sometimes I've like made some really big strides in a conversation, and I haven't like... maybe I should write some jot notes or something that were like goals or things to work on, because then sometimes I leave a conversation and and I feel like I learned a lot, but it doesn't stick because I don't do enough work after the conversation on those things. But I guess this is a really long preamble to just like the fact that I'm talking about how I'm feeling, because it's not my intention and purpose is for me to maybe figure some things out and learn some things and become more self-aware. This is something that I've just kind of made a realization about the past. I mean, like today, really. I mean, I've had some stuff go on the past couple weeks and months, but more so the past couple weeks where I feel my feelings are, I don't know, my feelings are constantly changing, and I think I'm realizing why I'm getting certain waves of emotion right now in a certain way, and I'm attributing that to what feels like disassociating. Again, like, I'm not like self-diagnosing myself with some type of disorder or something, but this is what I'm feeling, and it feels, or it sounds like people who may go through some like disassociating as a symptom for like anxiety and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's what I want to talk about a bit, and I don't know, I'm feeling like I'm finding that sometimes these conversations are getting more difficult than they used to be, but that's also because I'm finding conversation in general more difficult than it used to be. I'm finding it hard to maintain eye contact or camera eye contact as well, but even just like a conversation with another human being in person is like more difficult for me than it used to be. And I'm finding that I'm kind of not having my memory seems to be like slipping in a lot of areas where it wasn't before. So that's kind of weird to notice. And so what kind of brought me to this point of like feeling like let's compare or use this term of disassociating and like, or let's just say that it feels like it fits under that, like it fits in that, under that umbrella or whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. So like, again, talking is a little harder, conversations are a little harder, alone or not. Memory's a thing, but I just feel sometimes, especially when I drive, because those are like alone times where I'm not focusing in on like a specific task. I feel not necessarily like I'm losing time, but like I just feel detached. Sometimes detached from like the fact that other people exist and the world exists, and sometimes just detached from myself, where like I might be driving along and realize that I haven't put any music on, or I haven't put a podcast on, or it's stopped and I haven't put anything else on, and I've just been zoning out, and like not to a point where I feel like, oh man, I started driving and then I woke up 5 minutes later somewhere else. Not to that extent, but like just zoning out in a way that I'm not really used to, where the stillness and quietness isn't necessarily like this peaceful, nice thing, but it's just kind of like, oh, like, I guess I'm a person in the world right now that's driving to a destination to do a thing, and I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, like, I'm trying to think of how else to describe it, because like this is a really new feeling for me. Or, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I've recognized this getting worse in the past couple weeks. The camping thing, I don't know if it added to the realization, which is maybe a good thing, or maybe not, of like being around a lot of people, but not, I don't know, but feeling like really lonely still because I'm not actually talking to any of those people, and I'm not having interaction with any of those people. And so it's just like, okay, like there's people here, but I feel really alone and weird, and I don't feel like I'm necessarily like just a part of things. Yeah, I don't know, like the depersonalization aspect, or like me feeling detached from myself. I guess I could try to explain that a bit more. It kind of comes with like some quiet, like I'm usually always doing something. And even when I'm like, if I choose to like meditate or something like that, that is still like a focused activity. It's like I am choosing right now to spend time just being calm or time meditating or like it's still a planned activity. But I'm finding more and more now that like sometimes while driving, sometimes like at the end of the night, a lot of times right now in the morning or early afternoon because my sleeping schedule is getting like way worse and out of control. That I just have way more like I thought it was just lethargy, but I think it's a little more than that because I'm just especially in the morning I feel like I'm losing a lot of time where I can just do nothing and I'm not really used to that and it's not like a planned activity, it's not like a focused thing, it's just like I don't want to get out of bed, which probably is some lethargy. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like it's not like this weird state of confusion. Like I don't feel concerned for my safety in the aspect of like, man, I don't know where I am. Like some type of Alzheimer's type thing. But it just feels like I thought that I had like a function and a purpose within the world, and now I just feel like not part of that and feel like really aimless and just like I don't know what's happening. I don't feel like I have much control. I feel like I don't have enough connection with other humans and therefore am like very like apart from what is happening in the world. But again, that's not like a chosen like not a part of the world and like I'm doing my own thing. Like my own thing is also within question. Like what is my own thing? What am I doing? Maybe I attribute that to not being as constructive with my time right now and not being as productive, but it's really hard to like motivate myself to do those things because like sometimes again I just don't feel like who am I? What am I doing? What is existing? Like what is that? I just don't feel like comfortable right now in my own skin. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like sometimes anxiety, like I don't know, these feelings of like disassociation also cause more anxiety because they're so unfamiliar and like because I can recognize that sometimes this is happening, I start thinking about it happening and I'm like, do I have any control over this? Like what do I do about it? Like I don't like feeling this way, so can I do something about that or not? And like how do I get out of this hole or this funk or this whatever's going on? Is there a way to do that? Because that'd be cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I think I might be able to attribute it to, and like part of it is being in limbo without work. Part of it is like spending a lot of time with people that I can't spend time with anymore, and like not having physical relationships. I don't mean sexual relationships. I mean like physically speaking to people in person, spending time with people in person. Even just physical touch of any nature, just going from like living with people that you would speak to and interact with every day to not that, like living alone. I don't know if that would be better or worse for me right now, but like I just don't interact with human beings face to face, and when I do, on the rare occasion, it's weird. Yeah, I just don't feel like there's got to be another word other than discomfort, but I just feel like unfamiliar with myself, and I just feel like I'm not operating in a way that I'm used to. Like I'm not operating with a lot of control. My discipline has really gone out the window, especially since coming back from camping, which is like 4 days ago now. I kind of just feel like I'm along for the ride and I'm not really taking part in, I don't know, creating my own destiny. I don't want to like talk about simulation theory and stuff because I don't really want to believe in that. I don't know. I just find like it's really hard for me to like focus on like a train of thought sometimes and just like follow through with that train of thought and be comfortable talking about whatever that thing is that I'm talking about. I feel just like I'm losing myself in my own conversations. Either alone or with other people. I feel just yeah. I don't. It just feels odd and distanced, and I don't like that feeling. Like I feel less of a whole person, I guess, and that feeling's weird. And like at first, I thought that was just like emptiness, like you know, like grieving, like losses of relationships, and that I don't know. That's what I thought it was at first, just like feeling lonely or sad. But I think it's starting to become a little more than that. I'm not 100% sure, but these are just the things that I'm feeling, and talking about them might help me, like might help ground me a bit and be able to work through it. I don't think that's what happened right now, but yes, it feels weird. I think being aware of it is also weird because like if I wasn't aware of it, like then I can't really help it. But being aware of it and talking about it and trying to figure it out on my own, I also don't feel like I can do a lot. Like this isn't that helpful right now, and I thought it would be a little more helpful, but it's not. So I don't know. I'm feeling really uncomfortable and distant from myself and others, but I'm not trying to create that distance. It's just kind of like happening, and I just feel really uncomfortable. So I'm going to stop right now. But that's where I'm at. So, see you on another time. So I just remembered something that I had in my head before I started, and then lost it. The waves, the thing about things coming in waves. I felt like originally dealing with the loss of relationships that I did, that it was like at its heaviest at one point. Like I felt like, you know, whether it be 1, 2, 3 weeks or whatever, I felt like there was a point where it should have been at its heaviest, and then things would slowly get better, and it might take a long time, but it would slowly get better. And recently, I am feeling like things are coming in waves, where like I thought that things were getting better slowly, and then it just like drops into like a really heavy, dark, bad wave of sads usually, or just weird and awkward and uncomfortable and off. And I think that those waves are happening because this, if I just call it disassociation, is not letting me. It's a weird thing. It's like, I think that disassociating sometimes can be like a coping mechanism, but it's not one that you can practice. It's not like, you know what, let me meditate, or let me like write, or let me just do something to really focus on my feelings right now and feel my feelings. Like I feel like those are things you can kind of practice and do, whereas I feel like disassociating might be like a coping mechanism that you are doing, but you're not trying to. That's like your mind, body, or whatever is like putting in place because it feels it needs to in order to cope with your feelings and the reality that's happening, by like escaping that because you aren't dealing with it very well. So it's like an involuntary coping mechanism. However, I'm finding that if that is what's happening, it's also detrimental, and it's like a negative loop, because by taking me away from the present, I'm not allowed to feel my feelings, or taking me away from just like the now, like the right now, the feel your feelings, and if you feel your feelings enough for long enough, then slowly things get better and those feelings aren't there. But like I've mentioned, that sitting in sadness is really difficult for me, and feeling my feelings is really, really difficult for me when they're sad feelings, and I've been trying to like do that, but I think I hit a point where I thought things were getting better. I thought that because I was feeling less sad feelings, that like that was good, but now I don't think that's happening, because they're coming in waves that are like really unexpected, and it's not just like, I was like in a real, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like this would be like a regular place, and I was in like a bad place, and then I had to get out of that bad place by like leaving the scenario I was in, and that really sucked and hurt more. And I knew that it would like it should be going like this eventually, but like for a while I know it was going to be on a steady decline, and I would feel really bad feelings for a while, just trying to cope with loss and stuff, and so it would go like this. And I thought that I'd like bottom out, and then I would like slowly, kind of like very slowly, like get back up to like a neutral place or whatever, or feel better. But like that kind of felt like it was happening, and then it like just dipped, and then it kind of felt like it was happening, and then it just dipped, like, and I just, at different, like people are different, and like I guess I've never really coped with something this big and heavy and this much grief before, this much loss, so it's new to me. But I was trying to like tell myself that it was going to kind of happen the way that it's happened in the past, and that it would be just like, you'll get over it, it'll slowly, and you'll feel a little better each day after you like hit what the bottom would be. And then now I'm like scared that I haven't hit the bottom yet, because I keep having these waves of just like really bad times, and they kind of come out of nowhere, and they last sometimes a couple of days, sometimes just a night or a morning or an afternoon, like I don't know. But that's the thing, is like if my consciousness is disassociating involuntarily because it's trying to cope with what's happening, because it feels like what's happening is dangerous to us, so it doesn't want to deal with it. It's also not letting me deal with it because I'm not in the present enough to just feel what I'm supposed to feel and get that out. And because then there's a certain point where it needs to happen, so then it comes in like this real concentrated, horrible spurt, and that sucks. So like if it was just slowly, like all the time, kind of like feeling what I'm supposed to feel like consistently, then I would feel like I'd be on this very slow uphill trajectory to get back to maybe a neutral place, or a place where I feel okay. But it just does that a little bit, and then just like throws me down into a pit. And I felt like, I just feel like that's a new thing in the past couple weeks, and I don't feel like it's a good thing. And so there you go. That's that now. I think that's all I have to say on the matter. So see you on another time.